Some of them sold out arenas on a Tuesday night. Some of them looked completely untouchable at the height of rock and roll. But the spotlight in rock music has always been ruthless. Somewhere along the way, through band drama, changing trends, or decisions nobody saw coming, the spotlight moved on. These are 10 rock stars who dominated the 1980s and then slowly disappeared from the center of the rock world. Number 10, Billy Squier. If you were a rock fan in the early 80s, Billy Squier was everywhere. Don't Say No came out in 1981 and went triple platinum. Emotions in Motion followed a year later and went multi-platinum. He was selling out arenas faster than almost anyone. He even collaborated with pop art legend Andy Warhol. Then came the summer of 1984 and the music video for Rock Me Tonight. Pink tank top, pastel satin sheets. A lot of prancing. The video went out anyway, and the backlash was brutal. His image took a hit almost overnight. He went from one of the biggest rock stars in America to an artist trying to recover from a video people never forgot. He kept recording and kept charting on rock radio into the early 90s, but the mainstream was done with him. Number 9, Patti Smith. Patti Smith was never just a singer in a band. She was the face people remembered. Scandal broke through with Goodbye to You in 1982. Then, The Warrior in 1984 went to number 7 on the Hot 100. She had the voice, the look, and the kind of stage presence that made people stop whatever they were doing. Then, Scandal broke up, and her career changed course. She came back in 1992 with a solo album, and the hit Sometimes Love Just Ain't Enough, a duet with Don Henley that reached number 2.
I don't want to lose you, but I don't want to use you.
But rock was already shifting under everyone's feet, and even with one massive hit, she never fully got back to where she had been earlier in the decade. Number 8 helped lead one of the defining metal bands of the MTV era. Platinum albums, A Nightmare on Elm Street anthem, and a rivalry inside the band that finally exploded. Number 8, Don Dokken. By the mid-80s, Don Dokken was fronting one of MTV's defining metal bands. Dokken broke through with Tooth and Nail in 1984 and pushed higher with Under Lock and Key in 1985. By the time Back for the Attack arrived in 1987, the band was everywhere. Songs like Alone Again, In My Dreams, and It's Not Love were MTV staples.
In my dreams, it's still the same. Your love is strong.
And Dream Warriors was written for the film A Nightmare on Elm Street 3. They were touring arenas across the United States, and by 1990 they had even landed a Grammy nomination for Best Metal Performance for the live album Beast from the East. But behind the scenes, the band was coming apart. Don Dokken and guitarist George Lynch had one of the most toxic rivalries in 80s metal. After the massive Back for the Attack tour, the band imploded in 1989. Don Dokken carried on with a solo album in 1990, but it never came close to the band's old momentum. One of the defining metal voices of the decade had suddenly fallen quiet. Number 7, Lou Gramm.
Do it quick, do it urgent. Gotta rush, make it urgent.
Lou Graham was the voice of Foreigner through their commercial peak. 7 top 5 Billboard singles. Feels like the first time.
Feels like the first time.
Cold as ice.
You're as cold as ice.
Urgent.
See how urgent.
I Want to Know What Love Is at number 1 in 1985.
I wanna know what love is.
Critics compared his range to Robert Plant, and even Ian Anderson of Jethro Tull once singled him out as one of rock's greatest voices. He left Foreigner in 1990 after falling out with guitarist Mick Jones. His solo run was already working. Midnight Blue went to number 5 in 1987. But in April 1997, he was diagnosed with a benign brain tumor, a craniopharyngioma. The surgery that removed it damaged his pituitary gland and affected his voice in ways that never fully reversed. He kept performing for years, but the instrument that had made him famous was gone. Not faded, gone. Graham was unlucky to have lost his voice, but number 6 got buried by something bigger than bad luck. She was at the peak of her powers when an entire genre got wiped off the map overnight. Number 6, Lita Ford. Lita Ford had been fighting for credibility since she was 17 years old as the lead guitarist in the Runaways, one of rock's first major all-female bands. By the late 80s, she had finally broken through on her own terms. Her 1988 album, Lita, went platinum. Kiss Me Deadly reached number 12 on the Hot 100. Close My Eyes Forever, her duet with Ozzy Osbourne, went even higher to number 8. She was one of the biggest female rock stars in the world. Then grunge arrived, and the whole genre she had built her career on became a punchline. She kept recording into the 90s, but the commercial world that had made her a star was collapsing underneath her. Later, she stepped back from music and focused on family life with former Nitro singer Jim Gillette. She did not release another studio album until 2009. When she came back, the landscape had completely changed, and she was starting from near zero commercially, even though her place in 80s rock history was secure. Number 5, Kevin Dubrow. Kevin Dubrow was the frontman of Quiet Riot. In 1983, Metal Health became the first heavy metal album to reach number 1 on the Billboard chart. Their cover of Come On Feel the Noise went top 5.
Come on, feel the noise. Just rock your voice.
Rock journalist Lon Friend said, without Quiet Riot, there would have never been a Motley Crue or a Poison or Rat. They were the first. They opened the door every 80s metal band walked through. Dubrow's mouth and his drug use caught up with him. He was fired from the band in early 1987 after years of feuds, insults in the press, and a lifestyle that had spun out of control. He spent years in various bands that went nowhere, eventually rejoining a reformed Quiet Riot in 1993 and grinding the legacy circuit. His final album, released in November 2006, was called Rehab. On November 25, 2007, he was found dead in his Las Vegas home. Accidental cocaine intoxication. He was 52. Number 4, Izzy Stradlin. This one is different from everyone else on this list because Izzy Stradlin did not vanish because the audience left him. He left the audience, and he left at the worst possible moment for anyone trying to make sense of it. Izzy co-founded Guns N' Roses with Axl Rose in 1985. He was one of the band's principal writers on Appetite for Destruction, which went on to become the best-selling debut album in U.S. history and sell more than 30 million copies worldwide. He co-wrote Don't Cry and You Could Be Mine for the Use Your Illusion albums. He was the musical backbone of one of the biggest bands on earth.
You just don't step inside to
On November 7, 1991, not long after Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 debuted at numbers 1 and 2 on the Billboard 200, he walked away. He said later the band had tried to cut his royalty percentage and that Axl's behavior had become unbearable. He formed the Juju Hounds, toured briefly, then slipped out of the spotlight. His last known musical releases came in 2016. He skipped the GNR reunion over money. There are occasional sightings and rumors he is still writing, but publicly, he has been largely invisible for years. Nobody in rock has ever voluntarily walked away from more. Number 3 helped create one of the most recognizable arena rock anthems of the entire decade. 4 multi-platinum albums, constant MTV rotation. And then by the end of the 80s, the spotlight had almost completely moved on. Number 3, Mike Reno.
Everybody's working for the weekend.
If you turned on rock radio in the early 80s, Mike Reno's voice was everywhere. Loverboy exploded out of Canada with their self-titled debut in 1980, but it was the run that followed that made them one of the defining arena bands of the decade. Get Lucky in 1981 became a massive seller and produced Workin' for the Weekend, one of the most recognizable rock anthems of the entire era. Keep It Up followed in 1983 and also went multi-platinum with hits like Hot Girls in Love and Queen of the Broken Hearts. Reno's red leather pants and headbands became part of the band's MTV image, and Loverboy was suddenly selling out arenas across North America. The momentum did not vanish overnight, but it did fade. Lovin' Every Minute of It in 1985 gave them another major hit, and they still reached the top 10 again with This Could Be the Night in 1986. They even landed one more top 20 single that year with Heaven in Your Eyes from the Top Gun soundtrack. But by the end of the decade, the chart run had cooled, and the spotlight had already shifted. Loverboy kept touring, but one of the biggest arena rock voices of the early 80s was no longer at the center of the rock conversation. Number 2, Dennis DeYoung.
Babe, I'm leaving. I must be on my way.
Dennis DeYoung was not just the singer of Styx, he was their co-founder, lead singer, keyboard player, and one of the band's primary hit songwriters. He wrote 7 of the band's 8 Billboard Top 10 hits, some of which were Lady, Come Sail Away, Babe, their only number 1, The Best of Times, and Mr. Roboto. He drove the band's theatrical vision through platinum albums and packed arenas for 2 full decades. In January 1998, he came down with an upper respiratory virus that left him with severe fatigue and light sensitivity. He asked for 6 months before they toured, his bandmates refused, and the split turned permanent. Canadian singer Lawrence Gowan joined Styx in 1999, and the band moved on without him. DeYoung sued over the Styx name. The case settled out of court, with the band keeping the name and DeYoung allowed to use it only in limited ways. He has said he has not spoken to Tommy Shaw and J.Y. Young in roughly 2 decades. 2 versions of the same band, playing the same songs, with almost no contact between them for years. They forced out the man who wrote their biggest hits while he was sick in bed. He has spent decades performing those songs without them.
'Cause you know it's you, babe, whenever I...
Number 1 didn't need a push. He was the undisputed king of 80s arena rock, the owner of one of the most recognizable voices on the planet. And at the absolute height of his power, he just stopped. Number 1, Steve Perry. If you grew up in the 80s and someone asked you to name a voice, there's a reasonable chance the first one that came to mind was Steve Perry. Journey's commercial peak ran from 1978 through 1987. Don't Stop Believin', Open Arms, Faithfully, Separate Ways. Oh Sherry, his solo single from 1984, went to number 3 on the Hot 100. He was on the radio constantly. His voice was one of the most immediately recognizable sounds in American rock music. And Journey was one of the best-selling acts of the entire decade. And then he was gone. He stepped away after the Raised on Radio era, burned out by exhaustion and internal tensions, and Journey went into hiatus in 1987. He spent years in relative seclusion. He returned in 1994 with a solo album called For the Love of Strange Medicine. Journey reunited briefly in 1996 for Trial by Fire, but the comeback collapsed after Perry delayed hip surgery. He was eventually replaced in Journey by Steve Augeri, then briefly by Jeff Scott Soto, and later by Arnel Pineda, while the band carried on touring without him for decades. He released his first studio album in over 2 decades in 2018 called Traces, which was inspired in part by the death of Kelly Nash, a woman he had fallen in love with after she was diagnosed with breast cancer. It was moving, and it was warmly received, but by that point he had been gone for so long that the return felt more like a coda than a comeback. No one in 80s rock had a voice like Steve Perry, and almost no one with that much talent and that much momentum chose to walk away from it the way he did. The fact that he is at number 1 on this list is not about commercial failure. It is about the scale of what he had and the completeness of the silence that followed.
I just should have been gone. No.
Which of these disappearances do you think was the biggest loss to rock music? Did we miss a name? Drop your answer in the comments.